Hello, BookTube. I've got some mail for you today on this gray, overcast Thursday. A little raw, a little cold. Not mid 80s Fahrenheit with 97% humidity, so I'll take it. The rain poured and poured and poured, but it finally stopped, and it looks like it's going to stop for a while. But I think we're going to get another round of rain, probably on the doorstep of the weekend. Who knows? It only affects me because my little dog hates the rain and refuses to go out in it. Just refuses. Uh, but at least I don't have to deal with soggy packages. We've got a bunch of packages here and also a big box that is suspiciously light. So I don't imagine it's going to have a big Steve book in it. One of the things that wasn't a package is a newspaper. The Bedford Times Press in Bedford, Iowa. Neat little 10-page Iowa paper, local Iowa paper. You've got ads. You've got tons and tons of sports coverage. There are sports teams in full color. You've got, let's see here, blue catfish stocked at Windmill Lake. The perfect example of a small town Iowa newspaper meant for the use of the people in Taylor County. I was looking through this. I was very much enjoying it. Of course, why shouldn't I get the Bedford Times Press in the mail? One thing I did notice is that it could stand a little books coverage. Isn't it true that almost every small town newspaper could stand a little books coverage? I think so. Maybe you want to get on that. If you have a small town paper and you have an in at that small town paper, maybe you know somebody who'd like nothing more than to add some books coverage. Spice up things for regular readers and subscribers. Maybe they're tired of hearing the local townspeople say, there's nothing in the paper today. If you're in such a situation, no matter where you are in the English-speaking world, feel free to tell them Steve sent you. Say, maybe I know somebody who can provide you with books content. But then we've got the books themselves, book packages. I don't know, glancing at this, if there are any violations of rule number 1. I always have to be wary of that because you people are so incredibly generous. What is this for? Oh my. Okay, great. Okay, this is a contemporary romance, which is something I read anyway. I read contemporary romances anyway, but I have been significantly warmed to them by Sarah at the Bookish Knitter, my spirit animal on BookTube, my sister from another mister. Very similar BookTube channels. If you like this channel, and I don't have any idea why you would, if you like this channel, just someone looking straight at you, talking straight to you, not on a script, nothing pre-planned, knowing a lot about the books they're talking about. If you like that kind of thing, where it's just a friend checking in with you, that's all, then you're going to like Sarah's channel, even though she mostly deals with romance novels. Although she is reading nonfiction for Nonfiction November, because Olive at a Book Olive rules all. But anyway, this is by Jenny Holiday, and it's called Duke Actually. I think I might have seen this on Sarah's channel. It has one of these sort of cartoony covers. And let's see here. What is the story? Maximilian von Hansberg, Baron of Loudon and heir to the Duke of Aquila, is not having a Merry Christmas. He's been dumped by a princess, he's unemployed, and his domineering father has sent him to New York to meet a prospective bride he has no interest in. In the city, he meets Danny Martinez, a smart and gorgeous professor he's determined to befriend before their best friends marry in the Eldovian wedding of the century. Newly single, no-nonsense New Yorker Danny is done with love. She's even written a list entitled Things I Will Never Again Do for a Man. Which is why she hits it off with the notorious rake Max. He's the perfect partner for snow angels in Central Park and deep conversations about the futility of love. It's all fun and games until their friendship deepens into attraction. But oops, falling in love was never part of the plan. I would caution all of you romantics out there against snow angels in Central Park for a number of different reasons. Number one, it's not going to be possible in the winter of 2021-2022 because it's not, in fact, going to snow in New York City in the winter of 2021-2022. This entire time, summer will start without any snow. There'll be banner headlines in the New York papers saying, "Where the F's the snow?" But even if there were snow, I would still caution your romantics against it because it's a good way to get a used syringe stuck up your anatomy. Best just to stay off the ground in New York City. But there you go. Contemporary romance. What a great way to start a mail haul. Let's see if we can keep going. Boy, it's been 5 years that these tabs on these things just have failed to work. 5 solid years of them just not working. Those were some of my very earliest videos where I'm pulling on those tabs and they're just not working. What have we got here? All right, this is from 2022, so I don't have to worry about it. This is by Sylvia Ferrara. It's translated by Todd Portnowitz, and it's called The Greatest Invention, the history of the world in 9 mysterious scripts. So is writing going to be the greatest invention? Our written language is the key to understanding the past that forged our present. Its invention has allowed us to maintain social memory, to mark our impact on the world, to have staying power. Okay, all right. Written language, of course, is not the key to understanding the past. And it's allowed us to maintain social memory? No, it hasn't. It's allowed us to mark our impact on the world? No, it hasn't. And to have staying power? No, it hasn't. That's ridiculous. Those all 3 claims are just flatly ridiculous. Anyway, let's brush on here. Language developed out of a need for mutual understanding and roots. No, it didn't. No, it didn't. This is not a mystery. It developed for finance reasons. Don't tell David Murphy. His head's big enough as it is. But it developed for finance reasons. It didn't develop in any kind of quasi-mystical need to understand ourselves. Let's just keep going here. It is an exchange of information that engages our immense capacity for empathy. No, it isn't, and no, it doesn't. Written language is not an exchange of information. What's the writer get? and what was that? Engages our immense capacity for empathy? What on earth? What on earth? More human beings in the history of the human species have been motivated to hate their fellow humans by the written language than by any kind of speech. Anyway, so this has been translated from the Italian. It comes out on March the 1st. And it traces the connections between language and identity. In her interdisciplinary story of the greatest invention of humankind, which I guess is language, written language, Sylvia Ferrara weaves together uncovered truths of our nature, helping us to unpack who we are, where we came from, and how we remember. She divides her narrative into 2 plots. The first, a commentary on islands, creation, and undeciphered scripts. The second, on states and cities, readable scripts, and understandable languages. While the book begins by explaining how writing developed out of a conversation between nature and our imagination, it moves towards the concrete, how writing informs and formats our expanding societies. We begin with the first tablets in Mesopotamia, China, Egypt, and Central America. 4 instances of almost magical achievement in which negotiation and communal effort built an entirely new order in the world. She leaves the door open to the chance of future discovery, recognizing that separate but parallel tracks towards writing may have been laid in more than 4 places and in differing splendor. This is the thing about, I already know, I don't know anything about I don't know anything about Sylvia Ferrara, but I can, if this pub sheet accurately reflects her mind frame, then I know she's part of academia. Because I'm reading English and not understanding anything about what it means because I'm needing to run through a long catalog of code words in my head. Like that may have been laid in more than 4 places and in differing splendor. I think is probably going to say that power structures have not always created written language, that sometimes it's come from the bottom up. But I don't know. There'll be some sort of neo-Marxist. There's some sort of neo-Marxist Rosetta Stone to decode language that comes out of 21st century academia, and that, I'm assuming now that this author is part of 21st century academia. As it developed from icons to symbols, to syllables, to limited syntax, writing bestowed meaning in symbols, a concrete foundation. The author establishes mystery, competition, and experiment as the 3 forces that drive us to organize our world together to agree upon that meaning? No, no. It looks like someone has noticed that the death of Roberto Colasso has left a void in the incomprehensible academic spectrum, and they're trying to fill it. But the history, the origins of written language are not a mystery. They are not unknown, and therefore they aren't a blank canvas for you to write what you want. Well, anyway, let's find out about the author. Can we find out anything about the author? Am I right about the author, for instance? I'm assuming that the author is part of academia. Let's see here. Yes, she's a professor of Aegean civilization at the University of Bologna. She studied at the University College London and University at Oxford, and after several years as a researcher in archaeology and linguistics at Oxford, returned to Italy. Okay, all right. Well, this I might argue with the pub sheet, but this doesn't come out, until next year anyway. So I don't need to worry about it. It certainly doesn't rev my engines like a contemporary romance. Then this next one almost didn't reach me. And it may be a violation of rule number 1. It's got a UPS tracking label on it. It barely has any identification on it. I had to stare at the thing for a while to realize that it was actually for me. And it's heavily taped, which is something that publishers don't tend to do. It could be a small publisher, but it might also be a gift from one of you. So let's see. What a mess. What is this? Oh, no, it's not from one of you. It's from a publisher. Just barely from a publisher. It's certainly seen better days. Okay, this is a little confusing. I think we've seen this already on this channel. This is Rebecca Solnit. This is her book, Orwell's Roses. It's barely her book, Orwell's Roses. The book itself is squashed and crushed. The dust jacket is crushed, mangled, and dirty. So I don't know what's going on here. I know how long this was out on the porch, and it wasn't that long. But even the book has a grit of dirt all over it. So, but it's a finished copy that I don't have. So let's go through this here. In the spring of 1936, a writer planted roses. So begins Rebecca Solnit's new book, a reflection on George Orwell's passionate gardening and the way that his involvement with plants, particularly flowers, illuminates his other commitments as a writer and anti-fascist, and on the intertwined politics of nature and power. Sparked by her unexpected encounter with the roses he reportedly planted in 1936, Solnit's account of this overlooked aspect of Orwell's life journeys deep through his writings and his actions, from going deep into the coal mines of England, fighting in the Spanish Civil War, critiquing Stalin when much of the international left still supported him, and to his analysis of the relationship between lies and authoritarianism. Though Solnit's celebrated ability to draw unexpected connections, readers are through that celebrated ability, readers are drawn onward from Orwell's own work as a writer and gardener to encounter photographer Tina Modotti's roses and her politics, agriculture and illusion in the USSR of his time, and with forcing lemons to grow in impossibly cold conditions. Orwell's slave-owning ancestors in Jamaica, Jamaica Kincaid's examination of colonial... Okay, all right, so this is a Twitter attention span that wrote a book. All right, okay, fine. Great. Orwell's Roses, I believe, is out already. I'm not really sure why I got it and why I got it in such condition, but let's move on to the box, shall we? A bit of a contentious mail haul. On what has turned out to be a very, very bookish morning for me. So don't expect to be spared. but let's finish this up for now with the box, which is definitely from a publisher, which is not coming quietly. I'm having to destroy the box in order to get it. Oh, we've got this bubble wrap. I much prefer the waste paper, the brown waste paper that people just roll off a roller. It's all perforated at regular intervals, and they just crumple that up and make it into packing because that makes you take that paper out, fold it along its perforations just keep origami folding it until you've got a little stack like this. Then take that stack, put it on the floor, put a 1 foot tall stack of heavy books on top of it, forget about it for a week, and when you come back to it, make sure you put the stack of books on you know, put it squarely on the paper so that all the paper is covered, and make sure you put that stack of books somewhere in the way. Okay, make sure you put it on the floor in the way, so you're going to notice it, because you don't want to forget about it. You don't want books on the floor. That is a sign of moral defeat. But you do that, and after a week, you take those books off, you put them back where they belong, and you have pressed, perfectly usable paper. But what? Oh, fantastic! Oh, we end on a high note. We started on a high note. The Bedford Times Press. It's a lovely little local Iowa paper, don't you think? Local sports news, local politics, updates about stocking lakes, the printed 911 calls, any kind of Taylor County news. It's a beautiful little local Iowa newspaper, isn't it? But we're ending on a high note as well. Because I got 2 Library of America volumes. I love Library of America. They are so great. Acid-free pages, sewn binding, a built-in cloth bookmark, minimal editorial interference. I'm a big fan of critical apparatus in reprint volumes. I love me a good introduction, lots and lots of good detailed notes. But I also love the opposite approach. Some reprint houses do take the opposite approach, which is to give you the bare minimum, a timeline, a few helpful hints, and then just the text. Just get on with the text. Library of America does that. They do it spectacularly. Oh my. If you wanted to spring for an entire set of Library of America, you could do a lot worse with your personal library. You really could. That would be a lifetime of great reading. I still kick myself. I sometimes tell this story, and then I wait a while, and then I tell it again. There used to be a used bookstore here in Boston, and it used to be relatively on my route. I used to have all kinds of routes. I don't anymore. I don't like leaving Frida, my little bean. I don't like leaving her, and I don't need to. I don't need to leave her except only very rarely. So I don't have these routes. I don't do these excursions anymore. Maybe when she's older and sleeps all day, I will feel differently. But there used to be a used bookstore on my route, and I used to go there regularly. They had a little room. They had a friendly cat. A too friendly cat. A cat that was friendly to me. But they also had a little room that was a bargain room. Tiny little closet-sized space lined with books. Dirt cheap. There was a guy that worked there. He was always there. No one else was ever there. There were never any other customers. And we got very friendly, and I used to go into that room whenever I was there and just come out with an armload of stuff, dirt cheap. But I would also shop in the rest of the store, and they would regularly get things. They would regularly change around the main part of this used bookstore. And one time they did that, and the whole wall, floor to ceiling behind the register, was Library of America. The store had bought somebody's collection. So it's just a wall of these black and white spine things. And they had a price for them. I think the price was $275. I'd be willing to bet. Mark Richardson, for those of you who are wondering, you've been asking me, emailing me. Mark has once again parked his channel. He hasn't erased any videos. He's not a tween. He's not a temperamental teenager. He hasn't erased anything. He's just once again taking a step back from BookTube. It's a thing you're going to have to expect from people the more responsibilities they have. And Mark he doesn't really stress it on his channel, when he opens a beer and heists it for the camera, starts to natter on about books. He doesn't really stress it, but he's got a lot on his plate. You have to understand that when that happens, occasionally it will just block out BookTube. And I think he probably doesn't really like the idea of all the videos being up if he's not adding to them. But he's not gone. He's not dead. But I think he would probably agree with me that I think they were asking $250, $260 for that whole wall of books. I think he'd agree with me. That was a steal. I should have done that. I really should have done that. I didn't do it. God only knows if you went on eBay. I'm sure there's a complete Library of America set on eBay, or many of them. And God only knows what it would cost. It'd be well over $265. I can tell you that. So instead, I grab them when I can. I grab them when I see them. I try never to pass them up. And I recently dropped a line to a publicist at the Library of America about one of their volumes. And we got to chatting, and she said, if this has been a lot of fun, if there's anything I can do for you other than this book, feel free to let me know. That's always a bad idea. If you're a publicist, that's always a bad idea to say to me. The Library of America has an item coming up next year that I am going to sing off the rooftops. But this is not that. Instead, and this is also not, these are not the items that I asked for, the one item that I asked for. That's, I guess, coming separate. Instead, these are the other things. The things, if there's anything else I can do for you, I made 2 other requests and I got them. And I'm very happy about that. The first one is, well, it's, it may be a little bit of mixed happiness. I like to go at things again. I like to go at things fair and square. A lot of you love to tease me about that and say, well, you didn't go at the new Jonathan Franzen fair and square. I did. I know you won't believe me, but I did. I did. I want to like every book I read. Some I have tried more than others to like and just found nothing in it at all. And one of those is Henry Green, and I've pretty much written off Henry Green every time he has a revival out of New York City. But another one is this author, and several of you, of my peeps, not just on BookTube, but on this little corner of BookTube, people who I Voxer with, people that I email with, people I've sent things to, people whose videos I try never to miss, people, readers who are often very different from me, and I value that. I really do. I mean, I'm perfectly willing to admit somebody I read like, for instance, Mark or Jason or Sean or Todd, where we're basically the same kind of reader. That's very comforting. But I also like it when a person who's got a head on their shoulders doesn't agree with me. It makes me question my own assumptions about an author. So I requested this volume. This is John Williams. And this has Butcher's Crossing, Augustus, his historical novel about ancient Rome, and Stoner, the book that every dude bro loves from this guy, that I like Augustus just fine. I even like Butcher's Crossing just fine. But Stoner? So now I have the Library of America, John Williams, and I have a perfect opportunity, a perfect reason to just go at this again. With this volume, I will start with Stoner. And then the next one is not a problem. The next one is not an author where I'm wondering, do I like this or do I need to be convinced or anything else? I'm overjoyed to have this volume. This is the Library of America getting around to Ray Bradbury. So yeah, look at that, what you have there. Fahrenheit 451, Dandelion Wine, my favorite Ray Bradbury book, The Martian Chronicles, and Something Wicked This Way Comes. That is an all-star lineup. The Library of America doesn't always do that. Sometimes when they have an author like this, and they're going to put multiple books in one volume, sometimes they'll add one that I don't like, or that seems minor to me. I think that's happened a couple of times with Ursula Le Guin, but here you have what I would absolutely feel comfortable calling Bradbury's greatest 4 books, all in one very nice volume. So I actually have all of my Library of America volumes together, and these will go with them after a little judicious rereading. So fantastic. And the fact that these arrived means, I think, that the book that I did request is on the way, and that's wonderful too. So not a bad mail haul. Not bad at all. We have 2 new Library of America volumes. John Williams, for all you Stoner fans out there, and Ray Bradbury, for all you Ray Bradbury fans out there. A Ray Bradbury volume that doesn't include a dud. It includes his 4 strongest works. That's wonderful. Then we have Orwell's Roses, plus the dirt they were grown in. Plus we have The Greatest Invention, translation from the Italian. Duke, actually, by Jenny Holiday, a contemporary romance novel. Does this have a date on it? I don't think it does. I think this is out already. I'll have to ask Sarah. Didn't come with a slip, but she'll know. And also the Bedford Times Press. Lovely little local Iowa paper. Anyway, I'm going to wrap this up, but I'll be back. Thank you, BookTube.